All right, let's look at other news now. A video purporting to be of teenage girls at a private property showing off their bodies to older men is doing the rounds on social media, Bongiwe.
And of course, Francis, that video follows a two-part release of voice notes that we saw on social media. These are believed to be of an underage girl who allegedly sleeps with older men for money, and that's what we are hearing in that video. It is also believed that these young women in the video were in Parklands in the Western Cape, where, according to the audio, the girls engage in sexual activities with these men. And of course, these are all allegations that are flying on social media now. Earlier, SANCO also released a statement saying that it will open a case of statutory rape in the Table View police station, which then leads us to our conversation with SANCO's Mr. Hadebe. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you confirm that this video is of the private residence that is believed to be where the girls are engaging in these sexual acts, and that voice note that we heard about, if indeed these are authentic?
Good evening to you, Bongiwe, and to your viewers. Yes, indeed, we are very concerned. We have received these widely circulated video clips and voice notes. And it was then incumbent upon us as a civic movement who has a duty and a responsibility to ensure that the rights of the minors and underage girls are protected. We then took it upon ourselves to went to Table View police station to open a case of a statutory rape. And I must state up front that whether or not these young girls had consent, the constitution of this country does not allow underage girls to be engaged in sexual activities. That is the premise of our concern. Secondly, we are saying to them they are not victims. They are victims. They are not perpetrators. We want to call upon the families and all community members who might have the know-how and whereabouts of these innocent kids to assist and work with us in order for us to protect these kids and deal decisively with these perpetrators.
Have you?
These people are not entitled to be called human beings. They are animals.
Have you established as to how long this has been going on?
We have not yet reached that point. Ours currently is to ensure that the law enforcement agents get to the bottom of this gruesome activity where kids are going to be afforded alcohol, drugs in the exchange of a lousy 1,500 rand, which won't even last a week. They are destroying the future of these kids. In terms of our constitution, it's clearly stated that everyone has a right to have their dignity respected and protected. If these kids are unable to protect themselves, it is incumbent upon us to enforce that protection in a form of state security agents. We want the police to trace the origin of these voice notes, to trace the origin of this video clip and arrest these animals and be taken away from our streets.
I see your statement as well points to something that you've just mentioned, which is drug abuse and human trafficking, that you're saying it's a well-known, these are well-known allegations in Parklands. I'm keen to find out, based on that, are these perpetrators, from what you are hearing, known to the community?
I've stayed in Parklands for almost a decade. We've been bombarded with posters in all these shopping malls of missing girls, last seen in these nightclubs of Parklands. At the time, these were girls that were over the age of 18. And now when it's happening to girls who are the minors in terms of the laws of these countries, we saw it fit and we took it upon ourselves to act. Yes, indeed, these acts of human trafficking have been happening for quite some time in and around the area of Parklands and Table View. But at the time, it were cases of adults. Now that it's minors, we cannot stand by fold our arms and watch when the future of our kids is destroyed by animals who have no respect for the laws of the country, who have an audacity to record these kids, sleep with them, and still circulate these videos. What basically they are saying is that South Africa, we don't care about your well-being. We don't care about the future of your kids. We are going to do as we please, and there is nothing you can do to us. Hence, we took it upon ourselves to say enough is enough. If they've got an audacity to go to an extent of recording themselves sleeping with kids and circulating to the whole world to see, these are animals that must be taken away from our streets.
When we look at this particular matter, of course, the sensitivity of it, because these are children, as we say, I mean, if they're under the age of 16, they surely can't consent, as you said earlier on. So I'm keen to find out from your organization's perspective, because there's counseling that is going to be needed here and another layer of arrests, but also parents who you then need to speak to. Are you going to be reaching out to them in order to know exactly what is going on here? Because it's one thing to make the call from the community, which may never come in terms of information forward, but are you going to proactively try and work with the police to find these particular women, who are mothers to these little girls?
Yes, we've earlier on opened a case. We've got some leads as to the whereabouts of the families. At this point, I cannot disclose the location because of the sensitivity of the case. But indeed, we're going to reach out to the family. We're going to make them understand that they are not perpetrators, they are victims because of our socio-economic status in the country. We want to work with these kids, we want to work with these families to understand the danger of not sitting down and engaging with your kids into the consequences of these animals who purport to be men. Because of their financial status, they think they can do as they please. Yes, indeed, we are going to work with families. And we appeal, if they are listening, not to be afraid, but to reach out to us. We are going to protect their identity. We are going to ensure that we treat this matter with caution and care it deserves. We are not blaming the families. We are not blaming these kids. They are victims. The real culprits are still out there on the streets. We don't know how many kids are going to fall prey to these animals. It is high time that all South Africans, whoever that has information, please contact SANCO and provide the necessary information for us to deal with these animals once and for all.
All right, Mr. Hadebe, thank you so much for your time this evening. And as you say, of course, their identity really needs to be protected because these are children. And it's going to also be important to deal even with the families as well, as you say, that you need to also advise them and even be able to provide some kind of counseling. That is Bheki Hadebe. He's the Provincial Secretary of SANCO in the Western Cape.